And this just in, breaking news from moments ago, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced on social media that there would be a 3-day ceasefire in the war between Russia and Ukraine from May 9th until May 11th. Moscow and Kyiv have both accused each other of violating ceasefires that each has separately declared. And Trump added on social media that there will be a suspension in all kinetic activity, as well as a prisoner swap of 1,000 prisoners from each side. Now joining us to discuss is former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William B. Taylor. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Don, thanks for having me.
Yes. Now, I was going to ask you, should they attack, should they not attack? But with this new information just coming into us, do you think that a ceasefire that is announced by the U.S. president, you think that Moscow will uphold it? Because we've seen many, many ceasefires in this war. Not a single one of them has actually held.
You're exactly right, Don. But in answer to your question, yes, I would expect Putin to agree to and adhere to a ceasefire. He was terrified. As you've reported, he had dramatically scaled back his big parade for tomorrow. He was worried that no one was showing up. It was only going to be Putin, on the dais there. And that made him very nervous. So yes, apparently he got in touch, called up his friend Donald Trump, and asked Donald Trump if he could help get a ceasefire, because Putin had already violated the Ukrainian ceasefire, and so the Ukrainians were under no obligation to adhere to a ceasefire that Putin suggested. So yes, Trump must have made that decision, talked to both. And I imagine, yes, in answer to your question, Don, I imagine both sides will adhere to this ceasefire over the next couple of days.
Well, it obviously seems that Putin is panicking and just like you said, calling President Trump. But from like a psychological point of view, for the impression that it sets on Russian citizens, I mean, Kyiv is already very far ahead in this May 9th celebrations. What do you think the Russian people are going to think about a display like this taking place this May 9th?
So the Russian people don't get a lot of information, but you're right. They'll be able to see this way scaled back parade. No tanks, no missiles, no foreign dignitaries, just Putin and the people around him. So the Russian people will know that something's wrong. The Russian people will begin to realize that this war that Putin has foisted on them, and that 1.5 million Russian soldiers have been either killed or so badly wounded have been taken off the battlefield. That's 1.5 million families that have all understood. And when they see this scaled back parade, due to the prowess of the Ukrainian missiles that have already attacked into Moscow, they're going to start getting the picture that Putin is not in charge.
Well, there's growing dissent emerging in public opinion in Russia, even talks of a coup against Putin. Now, we've heard this before, but do you believe that this time there could be real threats to Putin's rule, maybe to Putin's life, maybe the future of Russia with Putin behind the wheel?
Well, Don, when Russia or the Soviet Union has lost wars in the past, and you're right, let's be clear, Russia is not winning this war in Ukraine. I would even say it's losing this war in Ukraine. And when that has happened in the past, the leaders of the Soviet Union or Russia, the czars, after they've lost a war, they leave power. One way or the other, they're out. And I'm sure Putin is worried about that because he's not winning this war. This is becoming clearer to the Russian people. I don't imagine this is going to be a revolution from below because the oppression is so heavy in Russia that they're not going to stick their heads up. But I can imagine people right around Putin thinking, Mr. Putin, Mr. President, you're not doing so well. You're not serving the people. You're not serving the country. So we're going to, maybe there's consideration of letting him go off off into a dacha somewhere. This has happened before.
Well, it's interesting. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said earlier today that indeed that the negotiations with the Russians and the Ukrainians are deadlocked. Could this offer a new window, maybe potentially a new opportunity for the U.S. administration to engage with Russia to get some kind of meaningful outcome? We've seen Ukraine bend over backwards time and time again, but really, could this present a window for the U.S. administration to get Vladimir Putin to do even more?
Don, I think that's the right question. And I think the administration, the U.S. administration, has the opportunity that you just described to put pressure on Putin to get serious about these negotiations. We know he can. When the exchange of prisoners indicates that when they want to, when the Russians want to, they can come to an agreement. Up until now, they've not wanted to. Putin doesn't want to end this war. He doesn't want a ceasefire. The Ukrainians, as you just pointed out, do. The Americans do. And the Americans have proposed ceasefires, and the Ukrainians have agreed. And Mr. Putin, as you're showing there right now, has disagreed. He's now panicked about his parade, so he's agreed to this short one. The Ukrainians want a longer one, a longer ceasefire. But the only way that's going to come is, as you indicate, the administration, the U.S. administration, has the opportunity now to put pressure on Putin to stop this war. But the military pressure, by providing weapons, continued flow of weapons to the Ukrainians. The Europeans are doing a great job of providing the financial support and the weapon support. And the Ukrainians are pushing back on the Russians on the battlefield, as well as in the air, these long-range weapons. So that pressure is what it's going to take to Putin to make Putin end this war.
And President Zelensky's been saying exactly the same all along. Well, let's hope that this provides a new window of opportunity for all parties involved. Mr. Ambassador William B. Taylor, former ambassador to Ukraine, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Don.
And that concludes this edition of World News Tonight, but do stay tuned because we have a special report on Jeffrey Epstein's links to Poland by Natalia Komarov and Gabriela Fresnak, premiering at 8:45 this evening, something you won't want to miss. My name's Don Arlett. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Good night.